Hello everyone, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. In this one I'm out here at the park, as you can see, out in nature. As you know how I do. And in this one I'm going to be helping you to identify that you are talking to a covert narcissist. Because covert narcissists, they are different to those who are more overt. Although a covert narcissist can become overt, depending on the people and the situation. So that's important to recognize as well. Covert narcissists can become overt, and overt narcissists can become covert as well. It depends on the people that they're around, the situation that they are in. So in this video, I'm going to be helping you to identify if you are talking to a covert narcissist by giving you 10 signs. 10 signs for you to look for. You may not see all of them, but you will definitely see a few if you are talking to a covert narcissist. So if that sounds good to you, please hit the thumbs up button down below. Show your support. I appreciate it. Thank you. Now let's get into this. The first sign that you are speaking to a covert narcissist. 1. It's all about them. It's all about whatever they want to talk about. Whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it. And it's never about you. It's never about what you want to talk about in the conversation. They're never really asking you how are you, or how your day went. Or even if they are, it's scripted. It's not something they actually care about. It's just because they know that's what people say and they want to appear normal. But they don't actually care about you. They don't care about your feelings, wants or needs. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about how your day went. So really the conversation, it revolves around them. It's all about them. It's all about just using you to regulate their emotions, to make them feel good about themselves. The conversation is just for them to get narcissistic supply. And it's all about what they want to do when they want to do it. And it's never about you. And sometimes they can go on and have these hour-long monologues where they're just talking about their emotions, how they feel about something. And some covert narcissists, it's like maybe they haven't had much experience seeing how other people operate and how other people talk. Or it could be that they just don't care. Because they will go off on a rant and not even stop to check in with you and how you feel about something or about what you want. It's just always all about them. So that's the first sign to look for that will reveal to you if you are talking to a covert narcissist. The second sign is that some covert narcissists can be boastful. Just like the overt narcissist, they can have these delusions of grandeur. But at some level, they may understand that it is quite inappropriate to just be constantly boasting about your achievements or whatever you've got going on. And that's why they may be more covert about it. But either way, They are grandiose, they are full of themselves. They really do think that they are the best thing since sliced bread. They really do think that. But if they haven't got anything to brag or boast about, then on to number 3, victim playing. And this is where you will see this woe is me mentality, this damsel in distress. Because they're very arrogant and entitled. They think that you owe them the world. They think that you owe them everything. They expect it. But it's like, although they think that they're the best thing since sliced bread, it's like the world doesn't see it yet. And that's how they tend to be more covert. Because they're not getting that external validation. So that's why you will see the victim playing instead, rather than more grandiosity and boasting. Four, when you're talking to a covert narcissist, you will experience criticism. And they may openly insult you and put you down. Or they may just point out things that you've done wrong. Things that they think you could have done better. Or other things that you could have done instead. They may do that, or it may be more under the radar. So sometimes from covert narcissists, you may see these backhanded compliments. It's like on the surface they're complimenting you on something, but then there's also a subliminal meaning. There's an innuendo, a hidden message. So that's something that covert narcissists often like to use. There's like these riddles, these little clues. And also that's something that serial killers use as well. Some serial killers can be covert, but they're not openly murdering people. But then they like to leave these clues, these riddles for the detectives. They like to play these little games. Remember, they're like children in adult bodies. So yeah, this is something you will see from the covert narcissist when you're talking to them, is that they will give you criticism. And 5, they will give you unsolicited advice. They will give you advice that you didn't need, you didn't ask for. They will just give you their advice. And it's kind of funny when you think about it, because especially with covert narcissists, they haven't got the life that they want. They're not happy. It's clear that they are seeking some external validation. They want people to see them in a certain way, but they're covert because they can't get that. They can't get people to see them in the way that they would like. And yeah, they're the ones trying to give you advice that you don't want, that you didn't ask for. They're trying to tell you how to go about something, how to approach something, how to think about it, what to do about it. They're trying to give you advice, but they're really not in a position themselves where they should be giving you advice. But then that's the thing, they're covert, they use a false character. So in their minds, they think there's nothing wrong with them at all. They think they're perfect. Remember, they can be boastful, they can have these delusions of grandeur as well, even though they're covert. They may not openly display it to the world. But deep down inside, beneath that shy or vulnerable facade, is this desire for something more, something greater, for bigger things, even though they may not overtly display that to you. That's why we call them covert narcissists, because it's hidden. The sixth sign that you are talking to a covert narcissist is the fake empathy. They will pretend to have emotions. They will pretend to care. But actually they don't care at all. It's all about them. It's all about their feelings. It's all about what they want. Typically when I say their feelings, I mean their negative emotions, because they don't typically experience positive emotions anyway. But yeah, they will fake empathy, they will pretend to care. There could be this charitable person, the Samaritan. There are many self-righteous narcissists, communal narcissists. It's like all they want to do is help people, support the community. This is all just this outer facade, this deceptive appearance to conceal something very unpleasant and undesirable. Seven, gossiping. When you're speaking to a covert narcissist, they will gossip to you about other people, what other people may be doing. They will gossip about their life, their relationships, whatever's going on with them. And when, not just narcissists, but when anyone is doing this to you, it should reveal that when they're not around you, they're doing this with other people as well. If a person is talking about other people to you behind their backs, it's highly likely that they are talking about you behind your back to other people as well, because they've already revealed their personality. They've already revealed what they're like, their traits. So if they're doing that with you, it's likely they're doing that with someone else as well. So yeah, that's another sign to look for, the gossiping. And the eighth sign that you are talking to a covert narcissist is the unrealistic expectations. They will expect the world from you. They will expect you to be, do, or have whatever they want, whatever they want it. They will expect you to be everything that they need on the drop of a dime. When they say jump, they expect you to say how high. They expect you to be their everything, to be whatever they want. But it's a double standard, because while they expect the world from you, they're self-absorbed and they lack empathy. So you're going to be doing and giving everything that they want, but typically you won't get anything back in return. They have these unrealistic expectations. It's kind of like they want to jump into a car that they haven't cleaned for weeks. They haven't changed the oil, they haven't put any fuel in it, and they just expect it to run. That's exactly how it is. Or maybe, I don't know, this is quite an unusual scenario, but hypothetically speaking, let's just say they have a horse and they've really overworked that horse. They've been riding the horse every day. They're not giving it a break. And the horse is tired, it's laying down, it doesn't want to move. Instead of looking at their own actions and how they're overworking the horse, they will blame the horse. It's like kicking a horse when it's down. So yes, they have these unrealistic expectations. They will expect things from you, and they couldn't even be a fraction of that expectation themselves. They will expect things from you that no one else has ever managed to do for them in their entire lives. Maybe even their own family, their own parents can even do a fraction of what you are doing for them. And they couldn't even do it for themselves. And yet they're expecting that from you. And this is most definitely a sign that you are dealing with a covert narcissist. Because for someone to expect a certain level of treatment, a standard, an expectation that they can't even meet themselves in their own lives, and yet they're expecting that from you. If that isn't a red flag, I don't know what is. And the ninth sign that you are talking to a covert narcissist. As with any narcissist really, but particularly with covert narcissists, they will be oppositional. They will be disagreeable. They will be very competitive. When you're dealing with a covert narcissist, it doesn't matter if they're being more boastful, they're grandiose, or they're playing the victim. Either way, it always becomes a competition because they are extremely insecure. They are broken people, and they try to create this illusion of feeling together again by competing with you and making you feel like you are beneath them. And this could be in whatever way that they see it as being a source of power in that moment. So it's just whatever they're thinking about in their minds at that time. It could be boasting about something in that moment, or it could be playing the victim. They could be more concerned with physical attractiveness, or it could be more about money, your job, your home, your car. It could be anything. It's whatever they wanted to be in that exact moment. And they're very competitive, so it will become a competition. But then at the same time, it could also be about something that's not even grounded in reality. So it's like a battle of the minds. It's like who can outwit who. But also, it's not anything to do with logic either. It's not about intelligence, it's more about emotions. Who can outwit the other person emotionally? And of course, when you're having this battle of the minds with a covert narcissist, you're never going to win. Because they've been doing this for years. They are master manipulators. Well, as for us, many of us as empaths, codependents, we were the victims. We were victimized in our childhoods. So naturally, it's very easy for these covert narcissistic predators to come around us and victimize us again. Because at some level, it's like they have this sixth sense. They already know, because they've been doing this their entire lives. It's how they survive emotionally. It's how they get by. It's by preying on who they deem to be the weak, the vulnerable. Because yes, they see love as a weakness. They see authenticity as a weakness. Wearing your heart on your sleeve, that's all very weak to them. And that's why, yes, they most definitely will exploit it. Because they've been doing this their entire lives. They are master manipulators. So when they're competitive, when they're oppositional, when they're disagreeable, you're never going to win. They've been doing that their entire lives. They've been doing that with their parents in their childhoods. If they did something wrong as a child and there was conflict, opposition, disagreements between them and one of their parents, then they would ignore that parent and they would go and talk to the other parent instead. And they would just go back and forth. And that's often what they may do now in their adulthood, only with multiple sources of supply. So yes, that's another sign that you're talking to a covert narcissist, is that they're oppositional, they're very disagreeable, and the 10th sign that you are talking to a covert narcissist is that despite all of the things that they do to you, as I've mentioned in the previous signs, despite all of that, their mind will be made up by the end of it, by the end of the conversation. After they have provoked you in all sorts of ways, they're bragging and boasting endlessly, making the conversation all about themselves. It's all about what they want to do. It's never about you. You're just expected to abandon yourself. And they play the victim, they fake empathy, they're very disagreeable, oppositional, they're always gossiping, they're constantly criticizing you, giving you unsolicited advice, they're doing all of these things to you. And this really is a red flag that you are dealing with a covert narcissist. Is that despite all of these things that they are doing, they will turn around and point the finger at you. Yes, they will push and provoke you. They will get you all worked up just to then focus on you and label you as the narcissist, despite everything they've done to you. Because many of them, they do lack self-awareness. They're disconnected from themselves and their emotions. So they're not seeing themselves. They're outwardly focused. They're observing you for your reactions, which then sustains the false character and the illusion. So they're constantly observing you, and they're looking for faults. They're looking for something to be wrong. They're fault finding, they're nitpicking, because that's what then validates the false character. If something is wrong with you, and that's why they can do all of these things to you, and it's like they have this amnesia about it. They don't recognize it, they don't associate any of that with them, because they're viewing you as an extension of themselves. You're a part of them. And so they disown these parts of themselves that they don't like and assign them to you. So it's like, just by being around them, automatically something has to be wrong with you. And this is how it is with narcissists, because when you're not around them, then they see you as something great. They idealize you, you're perfect. And that's what motivates them, that's what drives them to want to be around you. But then as soon as they get around you, it's like they have this mentality that if you're so great, then what are you doing around them? And then that's how they can disown these parts of themselves and then put it onto you. Because they also idealize you, they view you as perfect in the beginning. And of course, no human can live up to those expectations. So naturally, at some point, they're going to devalue you, they're going to put you down, and they're going to blame you for all of that. So yeah, these are 10 signs that you are talking to a covert narcissist. It's not like when you're having a normal conversation. They've got all of these tactics, all of these tricks to get out of you what they want out of you, to get you to act out of character by doing all of these things to you so that you emotionally react, because they're not concerned with the truth or reality. They have these delusions of grandeur. Even when it comes to victim playing as well, that's still a form of grandiosity. They're very grandiose, but they hide it. It's covert, it's hidden. But yeah, they have to rearrange you, they have to pull you inside out, because you are given the power and energy to this illusion, to how they want to see and feel about themselves. And I myself, I have had many conversations with covert narcissists. When I look back, I remember so many conversations throughout my life. And at the time, I couldn't really identify it. I didn't really understand it. And really what I felt was just guilt and shame. I felt like I had done or said something wrong. I felt like I was a bad person. I was on edge. I was walking on eggshells. I just blamed myself. I didn't see myself as a victim. If anything, I thought that I was the perpetrator. I thought I was doing something wrong. And again, I would say, well, that's a sign as well. Because you got to think, when you're having a conversation with someone, a normal person, they're not going to be going out of their way to make you feel like something's wrong with you. If you're trying to engage with them, you're trying to understand their point of view, where they're coming from, you're trying to have a conversation, you're trying to get to know them, and you're listening to them talk about their story, about their life, about how things are going for them, and you're just trying to engage. You're just trying to have a normal conversation. A normal person isn't going to go out of their way to try and make you feel bad about yourself, to make you feel like you're bad, you're wrong, you're a narcissist. A normal person isn't going to do that. So yeah, that's another red flag. Because although it can be confusing sometimes, because they act like they're victims. They act like you're the one who's abusing them. That's what covert narcissists do. But that's the thing, because no normal person is going to be constantly criticizing you, constantly on you, and not giving you any room, any space to explain yourself, express yourself, try to be better, try to make things right. But even then, when a narcissist does give you that opportunity, you end up having to go above and beyond, doing everything for them, doing things that no one's ever done for them in their life, doing things that they couldn't even do for themselves. So even then, whichever way it goes, it still leads to clear signs that you're dealing with a covert narcissist. Because with a normal person, it's just not going to be like that. With a normal person, they're not going to try and switch up the conversation and make it about something being wrong with you. They're not going to do that. And it's not going to be about you having to do so much for them. It's just not. I mean, just think about it for yourself. Put yourself in their shoes, use your empathy to see what it would be like if you were them and you were having this conversation with yourself or with someone else, you wouldn't react in that way. You just wouldn't do that. You wouldn't jump to conclusions. You wouldn't be out seeking to villainize someone. But that's what they do. It's all about them from the very beginning. It's all about them bragging and boasting about how great, how wonderful they are. And then if that doesn't work, if they can't get you to see them that way, then they play the victim. Or you're the perpetrator, you're the bully, you're the abuser. And then they've got to tell everyone about you. They're going to turn everything against you. They're going to play the victim. They're going to call you the narcissist. It's always the same thing. It's the same thing every time. And in the end, that's always what they do. At the end of any relationship with a narcissist, they will always blame the victim. Every time. Yes, it is getting quite noisy here. I'm going to move to another side. I know there has been a lot of slapping and smacking as I've been making these videos. Wherever I go, I always get this, as you may see. Today, here's something more positive over here. Got this cat, I fed her a few treats. Or him. Fed this cat a few treats earlier. It's party time. Woo! It's party. But yeah. So these are the signs that you are talking to a covert narcissist. From the very beginning, they want everything to be about themselves. It's all about them. Because remember, with narcissists, the root of this disorder is unmet emotional needs in childhood. So they wanted acceptance, validation. They wanted that emotional support. They wanted to feel like they were worthy, like they were good enough. Unfortunately for them, they didn't get that. They were neglected, they were abused, they were traumatized. So now they seek sources of supply. They try to get that from you. The problem is they have a void that can never be filled. So no matter how narcissistic or how antisocial they become, it's not going to make a difference. They can demand the world from you. You can give them the world. It's not going to help. It's not going to make them better. Well, as for you, you may have been emotionally starved. You never got your needs met, whether it was from this conversation, or it may have been a relationship, wherever it was. And your emotional needs may have been met in your childhoods, but they weren't met from this narcissist. And at the same time you were given out and nothing was coming back to you, there was no reciprocation. So because of that, now you're emotionally starved. But actually narcissists, they love to keep you in that state of desperation, longing and yearning for something, desire. Because, and this is actually a new concept that I've been working on, but I'd like to share it more in this video now. The reason why they do that, why they keep you in that state where it's like they completely deplete you and they want to keep you down in a state of desperation, of longing and yearning for something from them, while at the same time they demand and expect the world from you. The reason why, for one thing, also they can't reciprocate. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to do that because they have a void. So they don't have the energy, the motivation, the drive, the enthusiasm to come at it in the way that you do. They come around you to get that from you. You're the one who has those qualities. They have to deprive you of that. They have to get you to render your power and energy to them. But not only that, for them, because they have unmet emotional needs in childhood, they had a lot of desires as a child. They wanted certain things, typically emotions, reactions from their parent, which is normal for a child, for our emotional developmental growth. But for these narcissists, there is a lot of shame surrounding desire. I'm just going to move someone's coming by. I'll come back over you, please, more quiet. But yes, for these narcissists, there is a lot of shame surrounding desire. So in many ways, I would say that narcissists, they typically don't even experience desire at all. They don't even really experience that emotion. They suppress it, they deny it. And instead, what they do is they go straight into having this arrogance, this pride, and this entitlement. So it's not desire, it's more for them. They're so great, they're amazing, they're wonderful, they're the shit, they're the best thing since sliced bread. And it's like, all right, now give me what I want. That's the mentality that they have. So they kind of skip desire because there's a lot of shame surrounding that. Because in their childhood, specifically for covert narcissists, grandiose narcissists that were spoiled, whatever they wanted, they got it. With covert narcissists, they had these burning desires in their childhood. They wanted that emotional validation. They wanted their emotional needs met. Instead, they were neglected, they were abused, they were traumatized. So now there's a lot of shame surrounding desire. And this is my new concept that I've been working on, and I assume, although this hasn't been clinically proven, and I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist myself, but just from my own personal research and experience, I would say that this is the reason why they want to keep you in a state of desire. This is why they manipulate you, and then they lie to you, they future fake, they breadcrumb you. This is why they do that. Because they can't experience that themselves. And yet they did have a lot of desire in their childhood, and their emotional needs were not fulfilled. So that's why it medicates them to keep you in that state. But what you need to recognize is that pretty much, if you haven't realized this yet, whatever it is, this shared fantasy that they've given to you, this future faking, whatever they promise to you in the future, you're not going to get that. It doesn't even exist. It's not even real. So you're never going to see it. And that's what you need to realize. That's what you need to identify. As soon as you do realize that, you'll stop making it all about them. You'll stop feeding into their fantasy and giving them that narcissistic supply that they need and crave so badly. And instead, you will then put the focus back on yourself. And then you can validate yourself, you can practice self-love. As I said in last night's live video, your self-love is your greatest defense, the greatest repellent against narcissists. Just start loving yourself. Make it more about you. And it will repel them very quickly. And then what typically happens is they go and they fall into the arms of a grandiose narcissist, someone who's more overt, someone who promises them a future, sells them a dream, and they end up getting tricked, they get duped. So that's typically their fate. That's typically how it goes for them. But that begins, and you're really the initiator of that, you have the power. It all begins by you making it more about you practicing self-love. Because then they got to go and find a bigger fool, a bigger doormat, someone who they think is going to be their puppet. But unbeknownst to them, they do not realize that only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths. The odds of them finding another one are extremely rare. So instead, what they're going to find, because there's plenty of these around, they're going to find a grandiose narcissist or it could be a covert narcissist as well, but someone who's highly narcissistic, who is just imitating an empath, pretending to be a fool. Because I've seen that in my own experience as well. Narcissists play dumb. They act so innocent and naive. They act like this innocent child, this damsel in distress, and they want you to come along and rescue them, save them, and then later on they switch it up on you, and then they've got you. So yeah, that's typically what these narcissists run into. That's what they find. Now that's really their karma. You don't even have to get revenge, and I don't advise doing that anyway, because otherwise that could have come back on you. As karma is real, it does exist. So do keep that in mind, and instead just let things play out the way that they should, by you focusing on yourself, you practicing self-love. And also recognize that these predators are everywhere. 1 in 6 people are narcissists. 7 to 10% of the population are psychopaths. Billions of people around the world have these unmet emotional needs in childhood, and they are starving. They're thirsty for someone like you, someone who isn't typically all about themselves, someone who does have the ability to abandon themselves and cater to someone else. Yes, there's so many people around the world who are hungry, thirsty for that type of person in their lives. And that's why you do need to be very careful. And the best thing for you, of course, is to find someone who is more like yourself, another empath. Instead of getting involved with someone who's just pretended to be that so that they can extract what they want from you. And you'll just give them everything that they want, but you'll never get what you want out of the situation. Instead, they're just going to end up running you into the ground. They're going to steal, kill, and destroy just like they do with everyone. Because if you can look at their past and the people they've dealt with, they've got a string of failed relationships, people that they have destroyed, people that they have run into the ground. And this is everywhere in the world today. Wherever you look in the world today, it's like that. There's just so many people with failed relationships, failed marriages, people with anxiety disorders, depression. It's everywhere in the world today. Just in the US alone, there's over 140 million victims of narcissistic abuse. And yes, this is growing every day. So it is everywhere, and it is getting worse. That's why people like ourselves, empaths, we do need to be very careful. It is good to have that support, and I know that's easier said than done for a lot of us, because let's keep it real, empaths, we typically don't have much support, if any. We don't really have anyone who's by our side, anyone who's there to protect us. People typically turn against us, or they just see us as an opportunity. They use us and abuse us. And that's why we do need to be very careful. And maybe just try and blend in with everyone else. Make it more about yourself. Act like you're busy. And then maybe they won't be able to detect that that's who you are. But then also be careful, because they could use that as an opportunity to blame you and play the victim. And of course, if you don't have strong boundaries, you don't have that support, it's a lot easier for them to do that. And they couldn't do that with someone who did have boundaries, someone who did have support, someone who was more narcissistic. That would have been a lot more difficult for them to do. So yes, be aware that these are the types of people that they look for. Protect yourselves out there in the world today. That's why I get on here, I give you this information. Because a lot of people, they act like this world is so safe. It's really not. If you look at the research, the statistics, so many people are going through so many things, and it's not being talked about. That's why we need to bring awareness to this. We need to get this information out there. And of course, I can't do it all on my own. I'm just one man. But luckily, I do have you, my viewers, my subscribers. And I do hope that you will support me and my mission. It only takes you a second to go down and hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it if you could, so that we can get this message out there. And also, you can support me. This is my full-time work, my full-time job. So you can support me by going to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. And also, I'd like to support you as much as I can as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I am reading the comments every day, and I try to respond to as many as I can. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live in the future. And also, if you do need more support, you can book a one-on-one coaching session with me by going to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also, you can follow me on Instagram. I got a video from last year from my trip to Sri Lanka. I just uploaded it yesterday. It already got over 5,000 plays. You can see that on there, as well as many other pictures and videos. Follow me on my Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Okay, that's all I've got to say for this video. I'd just like to thank you all for your support. It means so much. And yeah, I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.